The warning sirens screamed across the mining colony of Kepler 442b. Their sharp, painful sound cut through the morning air like a knife. Commander Haiyan Wu pressed his crystal face against the control room window and watched the sky turn dark. "With enemy ships? How many?" he asked, his voice shaking through the crystal that made up his body. 300 ships, sir," replied Lieutenant B.O. Ram, her fingers dancing over the control panel. "Maybe more coming." Han Wu felt his crystal heart sink. The Vorth Empire had finally found them. After running for 3 years, hiding in the far edge of the galaxy, their luck had run out. The colony had been their last hope. 50,000 beings from different worlds lived here together in peace. The Veltari, like Haiyan Wu and B.O. Ram, were made of living crystal that could think and feel. The Kethra looked like giant insects with 6 arms and kind eyes. The Nixani were tall and thin, almost like ghosts that could float through the air. They had all come here to escape the Vorth Empire. The Vorth were the most feared beings in the galaxy. They had 6 legs, thick armor, and weapons that could turn planets into dust. Worst of all, they never stopped. Once they decided to take something, they would fight until everything was dead. "Sir, the first wave is breaking through our shields," Ram said. Her crystal body glowing red with fear. Haiyan Wu watched the enemy ships dive toward their colony like angry birds. Each ship was black and covered in spikes. They looked like death itself flying through space. "How long do we have?" he asked. 20 minutes before they land," Ram said. "Our weapons can't stop them. We have mining tools and basic shields." "They have war machines." Haiyan Wu closed his eyes. He had seen what the Vorth did to colonies before. They would kill everyone, take everything useful, and leave nothing behind. Women, children, old people, it didn't matter to them. They saw other beings as insects to be stepped on. "Sir," a new voice called out. It was Dr. So-min, the colony's head scientist. She ran into the control room, her crystal body bright with excitement. "I found something in the old files. Something that might help us." "What is it?" Haiyan Wu asked, but he didn't have much hope. What could an old file do against 300 warships? Dr. So-min put a data crystal into the main computer. The screen lit up with strange symbols that looked very old. "It's an emergency protocol. From the time before the Great Peace, if the galaxy was full of wars." "A protocol for what?" the Oram asked. "For summoning help when everything else has failed," So-min said. Her voice was quiet and scared. "It calls for the apex predator." The room went silent. Everyone knew what that meant. The apex predator was a legend, a story told to scared children. It was said to be the most dangerous creature in the galaxy, locked away on a forbidden world called Earth. "That's just a story," Ram said, but her voice was shaking. "No," So-min said. "Look at the files. Earth is real. The humans are real. They were locked away because they were too dangerous to be free." Haiyan Wu felt his crystal body get cold. Every being in the galaxy knew the stories about humans. They were small and soft, but they could turn anything into a weapon. They never gave up, never stopped fighting, and never showed mercy to their enemies. The story said they could think of 1,000 ways to kill you with just the things in an empty room. "The stories say they eat their enemies," Bo or Ram whispered. "The stories say they can't be killed," So-min said. "That they come back from the dead to fight again." Outside, the first Vorth ships were landing. Through the window, Haiyan Wu could see the black ships touching down like metal spiders. Doors opened and Vorth soldiers marched out. Each soldier was twice as tall as a Veltari, with thick armor and weapons that glowed with deadly energy. "Sir, they're cutting through the outer doors," Ram said. "We have maybe 10 minutes." Han Wu looked at the protocol on the screen. It was written in the old language, but he could read enough to understand. The summoning would call 1 human to help them. Just 1, but the cost was high. Whoever did the summoning would have to give up their life force to open the portal. "Sir," Dr. So-min said, her crystal body glowing brighter. "I volunteered to do the summoning." "So-min, no," Haiyan Wu said. You're too important to the colony. The colony will be dead in 10 minutes if we don't try, she said. At least this way, we have a chance. Through the control room speakers, they could hear the sounds of battle. The Vorth had reached the first level of the colony. Laser blasts and screams filled the air. The colony's security forces were trying to fight back, but they were miners and farmers, not soldiers. Sir, they're on level 2, Bioram said. They're killing everyone they find. Hanwu thought about his people, about the Kethra children, who played in the colony gardens, about the Nixani elders who told stories of the old days, about the Veltari families who had come here hoping for peace. Do it, he said. Dr. Somin nodded and began entering commands into the computer. The room filled with a strange humming sound. Energy began to gather in the center of the control room, making the air itself glow. The portal is forming, Somin said. Her crystal body was getting brighter and brighter as she poured her life force into the summoning. But I need more power. The distance to Earth is too far. Take mine, Hyanwu said, stepping forward, and mine, Ba-Oram added. Sir, they're on level 5? Another voice called out. They'll be here in 2 minutes. Dr. Somin's crystal body was now shining like a star. Cracks were appearing in her surface as she gave everything she had to the summoning. The portal in the center of the room was growing larger, showing glimpses of another world, a blue and green planet covered in clouds. It's working, she said, her voice getting weaker. I can feel something coming through, something ... dangerous. The control room door exploded. Vorth soldiers poured in, their weapons ready. But they stopped when they saw the glowing portal and the crystal beings gathered around it. What is this? One of the Vorth soldiers asked in their harsh language. Sir, the portal is opening, Somin said. Her crystal body was now covered in cracks and light was leaking out. Whatever comes through, don't let it see us as enemies. The portal flashed with brilliant light. When it faded, a figure stood in the center of the room. It was smaller than the Vorth, with soft pink skin and strange hair on its head. It wore a uniform covered in pockets and straps, and it held a weapon that looked simple but deadly. The creature looked around the room with eyes that seemed to see everything. When it spoke, its voice was calm and cold. I am Captain J. Hyan of the Human Defense Force, it said. Someone called for help. The Vorth soldiers raised their weapons, but the human just smiled. It was not a nice smile. Captain J. Hyan looked at the Vorth soldiers with cold eyes. He had been eating dinner with his family when the summoning call came. One moment he was laughing with his daughter, the next moment he was standing in a room full of aliens and enemy. Soldiers, but J. Hyan was a soldier. He had trained for strange situations his whole life. His mind quickly took in everything he could see. 6 Vorth soldiers, each twice his size. Crystal beings that looked scared and hurt. A dying alien woman whose body was cracking like broken glass. Human, one of the Vorth soldiers said, his voice full of hate. We heard the stories, but we thought they were lies. The stories are true, J. Hyan said quietly. He did not move, but his hand rested on his weapon, all of them. The lead Vorth soldier laughed. You are just one small creature. We are 6 warriors with the best weapons in the galaxy. What can you do against us? Jahayan smiled again. It was the kind of smile that made smart people run away. Let me show you. The fight lasted exactly 12 seconds. The first Vorth soldier died when J. Hyan threw a piece of broken crystal into his neck. The second died when the human used the first soldier's weapon against him. The third and fourth died so fast that the others couldn't even see how. The last 2 Vorth soldiers tried to run, but J. Hyan was faster. He moved like water, like smoke, like death itself. When the fight was over, all 6 soldiers were dead. And the human didn't even look tired. Commander Hyan Wu stared at the human in shock. The stories were true. This small, soft creature had just killed 6 Vorth soldiers like they were nothing. Dr. Somin, Hyan Wu said, rushing to the dying scientist. Her crystal body was almost completely cracked now, and her light was getting weaker. I did it, she whispered. The human is here. Maybe we have a chance now. Jae-hyun knelt beside the dying alien. His face was gentle now, not cold like when he was fighting. You called me here by giving your life. I will not let that sacrifice be wasted. Dr. So-min's crystal body flashed one last time, then went dark. She was dead, but her death had brought them hope. What is your name? Jae-hyun asked Commander Hyun-woo. I am Commander Hyun-woo of the Veltari people, he said. This is Lieutenant Bo-ram. We are all that is left of our command team. How many enemy soldiers are in your colony? Jae-hyun asked. Maybe 2,000, Bo-ram said. They have heavy weapons and armor. We have mining tools and a few security guards, Jae-hyun nodded. What about your people? How many civilians? 50,000, Hyun-woo said. Men, women, children. All hiding in the lower levels, but the Vorth will find them soon. The human looked at the computer screen where the colony map was displayed. He studied it for a moment, his eyes moving over every detail. Your colony has 17 levels. The Vorth are on level 6 now. They will reach the civilians in 20 minutes. Can you stop them? Bo-ram asked. Not all of them, Jae-hyun said. But I can slow them down, and I can teach your people to fight. We don't know how to fight, Hyun-woo said. We are miners. And farmers and scientists. Everyone knows how to fight, Jae-hyun said. They just don't know they know it yet. Through the control room speakers, they could hear the sounds of battle getting closer. The Vorth were moving through the colony like a disease, killing everything in their path. Sir, a new voice called out. It was a young Kethra pilot named Unji. She crawled through the broken door, her insect-like body covered in cuts and burns. The Vorth are killing everyone on level 7. They have some kind of new weapon that burns through our shields. Jae-hyun looked at the young alien. What is your name? Yoonji, she said. I fly transport ships for the colony. Can you still fly? He asked. Yes, but all our ships are destroyed except for a few mining vessels. Mining vessels will work, Jae-hyun said. He turned to Commander Hyun-woo. I need to see your mining equipment, and I need to talk to your security chief. Our security chief is dead, Hyun-woo said. The Vorth killed him on level 3. Then I need to talk to whoever is in charge of your security now. Bo-ram touched her crystal forehead. That would be Sergeant Dongmin. He's a Nixani warrior. He's trying to hold level 8 with 15 guards? Get him on the radio, Jae-hyun said. And find me a map of your mining tunnels? While Bo-ram worked on the radio, Jae-hyun studied the colony layout. His human mind was working fast, seeing things that the aliens couldn't see. He was looking for weak points, for places where a small force could stop a large one. Sergeant Dongmin is on the radio, Bo-ram said. Jae-hyun took the radio. Sergeant, this is Captain Jae-hyun. I am here to help you. Who are you? Came the reply. The voice sounded tired and scared. I am human, Jae-hyun said simply. There was silence on the radio for a moment. Then, the stories, are they true? Yes, Jae-hyun said. All of them. Now listen carefully. I need you to fall back to level 9, but I need you to do it slowly. Make the Vorth think you are losing badly. We are losing badly, Dongmin said. Good, that will make them confident. Confident enemies make mistakes. While you are retreating, I need you to gather every civilian who can carry something heavy. And I need you to collect all the mining explosives you can find. Mining explosives? Yes, and any chemicals from your labs. And all the metal pipes and cables you can carry. We are going to give the Vorth a surprise they will never forget. Through the speakers, they could hear the sounds of the battle changing. The Vorth were getting closer, but they were also getting more spread out as they searched the colony. Commander, Jae-hyun said to Hyun-woo, I need to know something important. Are you willing to let your people learn to kill? Because that is what it will take to save them. Hyun-woo looked at the dead body of Dr. So-min. He thought about all the innocent people hiding in the lower levels. He thought about the Kethra children and the Nixani elders. Yes, he said, teach us. Jae-hyun smiled, and this time it was a good smile. Then let's begin. The Vorth think they are hunting sheep. Let's show them what happens when sheep grow teeth. The human began to move, and the aliens followed. They didn't know it yet, but everything was about to change. The Vorth had made one terrible mistake. They had cornered beings who had nothing left to lose, and they had given those beings a human to teach them how to fight back. Captain Jae Hyun moved through the colony like a ghost. Behind him, Commander Hyun-woo, Lieutenant Bo Ram, and Pilot Yoon-ji followed as quietly as they could. The human had told them to stay close and watch everything he did. "Why are we going?" "Toward the enemy," Yoon-ji whispered. Her insect-like body was shaking with fear. "Because they expect us to run away," Jae Hyun said without turning around. Humans learned long ago that the best defense is attack. They reached level 7 through the maintenance tunnels. The human had found these tunnels on the colony map in just 2 minutes. The aliens had lived here for 3 years and never thought to use them for war. Through the tunnel walls, they could hear the Vorth soldiers stomping through the colony halls. The sound was like thunder, heavy and terrible, but Jae Hyun listened to it like music. He was counting steps, timing movements, learning patterns. "They move in groups of 8, he said quietly. 2 scouts in front, 4 soldiers in the middle, 2 heavy weapons in back. They search every room, but they don't watch the ceiling." "How do you know all this?" Boram asked. "I listen," Jae Hyun said. "Humans are hunters. We learn to track our prey by sound, smell, and movement. Your people mine rocks and grow food. You never needed to learn how to hunt." They reached a junction. In the tunnel, Jae Hyun stopped and pulled out a small device that looked like a mirror. He used it to look around the corner without showing himself. 8 Vorth soldiers, just like I said, he whispered. "They are searching the medical center." "Perfect." "Perfect?" Hyun-woo asked. "How is that perfect?" "Because medical centers have chemicals," Jae Hyun said. "And chemicals can be weapons." The human opened his pack and pulled out several small items. The aliens had no idea what they were. Everything looked simple and harmless, but Jae Hyun's hands moved over them like he was building something deadly. "What are you making?" Yoon-ji asked. "A surprise," Jae Hyun said. "In 30 seconds, I am going to kill those 8 soldiers. You are going to watch. Then you are going to help me teach others." "We can't kill anyone," Ram said. "We don't know how." "Everyone knows how to kill," Jae Hyun said. "Your people just choose not to, but today you choose to live." The human finished making his device. It looked like a metal tube with wires attached. He placed it carefully in the tunnel wall and connected it to some pipes. "When I give the signal," he said, "you will see why the galaxy fears humans. But remember, I am not your enemy, I am your teacher." Jae Hyun disappeared into the darkness. The 3 aliens could barely breathe. They had never seen anyone move so quietly. Even Yoon-ji, who had 6 legs and was built for crawling, couldn't move without making some sound. From the medical center, they heard a Vorth soldier's voice. "Search every room. Kill any aliens you find." Then they heard a strange sound. It was like metal hitting metal, but very soft. "What was that?" One of the Vorth soldiers asked. "I don't know," another replied. "Check the vents." There was a moment of silence. Then the lights in the medical center went out. "Emergency power, a Vorth," soldier shouted. "Someone is here." The aliens in the tunnel heard the sound of heavy footsteps moving fast. The Vorth soldiers were scared. These brave warriors who had conquered planets were afraid of something in the dark. "Where is he?" a Vorth voice called out. "I can't see." "Anything," another replied. Then the screaming started. It lasted only a few seconds, but it was the most terrible sound any of the aliens had ever heard. Strong Vorth warriors, each one able to lift a ton of weight, were screaming like children. Then there was silence. The lights came back on. Captain Jae Hyun walked out of the medical center, cleaning his hands with a piece of cloth. He looked calm, like he had just finished a simple job. 8 down, he said. 2,000 to go. The aliens stared at him with shock and fear. This soft, small creature had just killed 8 Vorth soldiers in the dark without making a sound. "How?" Hyun-woo asked. "I used what was available," Jae Hyun said. "Medical gases to make them sleepy, metal tools to make them quiet, and darkness to make them afraid." But you killed them all so fast, Yunji said. Fear makes people slow, Jae-hyun explained. The Vorth are used to fighting enemies who attack from the front. They never learn to fight an enemy who attacks from the shadows. He led them into the medical center. The aliens gasped when they saw what was inside. The 8 Vorth soldiers were dead, but the room didn't look like a battlefield. It looked like someone had simply rearranged the furniture. You see, Jae-hyun said, I didn't use guns or bombs. I used medical equipment, cleaning supplies, and the ventilation system. Everything you need to fight is already here. You just need to learn how to see it. Yoonji looked at a simple metal tool on the floor. This is just a medical scanner. To you, Jae-hyun said. To me, it is a club, a cutting tool, and a distraction device. Humans learned to see everything as a weapon because we had to. On Earth, we started with nothing but our hands and our brains. We learned to survive by making tools from rocks and sticks. The radio in Bioram's hand crackled to life. Commander, this is Sergeant Dongmin. The Vorth are moving faster now. They will reach level 9 in 10 minutes. We will be there in 5, Jae-hyun said, taking the radio. Sergeant, have you collected the mining explosives? Yes, sir. We have enough to blow up half the colony. Good, and the civilians? 300 volunteers. They are scared, but they are angry too. The Vorth killed their families. Jae-hyun nodded. Angry is good. Angry people fight harder. We will teach them to use their anger. As they moved through the tunnels toward level 9, Yoonji stayed close to the human. She had watched him kill 8 trained soldiers with simple tools. She had seen him move like a shadow and think like a computer. Captain, she said quietly, are all humans like you? No, Jae-hyun said. Some are much more dangerous. The young pilot felt a chill run through her insect body. More dangerous? I am a soldier, Jae-hyun explained. I was trained to fight wars. But there are humans who are scientists, engineers, and doctors. They are the ones who really scare other species. Why? Because they don't just kill their enemies, Jae-hyun said. They find ways to make their enemies' own weapons work against them. They turn medicine into poison, tools into traps, and computers into weapons. They reached level 9. Through the tunnel walls, they could hear Sergeant Dongmin's voice giving orders to the civilian volunteers. The aliens were learning to fight, but they were still thinking like prey animals. Time to change that, Jae-hyun said. He stepped out of the tunnel and into the main hall of level 9. 300 aliens looked at him with hope and fear. They had heard the stories about humans, but seeing one in person was different. My name is Captain Jae-hyun, he said, his voice carrying to every corner of the hall. Your people summoned me to help you fight the Vorth, but I cannot win this battle alone. I need to teach you to become something new. What do you mean? Asked an old Nixani woman. I need to teach you to become predators, Jae-hyun said. The Vorth think you are sheep. Let's show them what happens when sheep grow claws and teeth. The human opened his pack and pulled out simple tools and materials. Everything you need to fight is here in your colony. You just need to learn how to see it with human eyes. He held up a mining tool. This is not just for digging. It is a weapon, a trap, and a tool for breaking enemy equipment. He held up a piece of wire. This is not just for electricity. It is a way to cut, to bind, and to make explosives. The aliens watched in amazement as the human turned everyday objects into instruments of war. For the first time since the attack began, they felt something new. Hope. The Vorth will be here in 5 minutes, Sergeant Dongmin said. Perfect, Jae-hyun replied. Class is about to begin. Captain Jae-hyun had 3 minutes to turn farmers into fighters. He looked at the 300 aliens standing before him and saw fear in their eyes. But he also saw something else, anger. The Vorth had killed their families, destroyed their homes, and taken away their peace. Listen to me, he said, his voice strong and clear. You have been running from the Vorth for 3 years. Today, we stop running. Today, we make them run from us. He picked up a mining drill and showed it to the crowd. This is not just a tool. This is a weapon that can break through Vorth armor. Who here knows how to use one? Dozens of hands went up. These were miners and builders. They knew their tools better than any soldier knew his gun. Good, Jae-hyun said. Now, who here has worked with explosives? More hands went up. Mining colonies used explosives every day to break rocks and clear tunnels. Perfect. And who here knows the colony's ventilation system? A young Veltari engineer named Yunesio raised her crystal hand. I helped build it, she said. Then you are my new lieutenant, Jae-hyun said. You will help me turn your air system into a weapon. The sound of heavy footsteps echoed through the ceiling. The Vorth were getting closer. Jae-hyun could hear them searching level 8, moving slowly and carefully. They knew something was wrong. 8 of their soldiers had disappeared, and they were starting to get nervous. Everyone, form groups of 10, Jae-hyun ordered. Each group will learn a different way to fight. We have 2 minutes before they get here. The aliens moved quickly. Fear made them fast, but the humans' confidence made them brave. They had never seen anyone fight the Vorth and win. Now they had hope. First group, Jae-hyun said, pointing to a team of Kethra miners. You will learn to use your mining equipment as weapons. Your drills can cut through Vorth armor. Your hammers can break their bones. Your tools know how to destroy things. Now they will destroy enemies. He turned to a group of Nixani who worked in the colony's power plant. Second group, you will learn to control the lights and power. Darkness is a human's friend, but it is a Vorth's enemy. You will make them blind and scared. The third group was made up of Veltari engineers. You will learn to make traps. Use your cables and pipes to create snares. Use your welding tools to seal doors. Make this colony into a maze that catches our enemies. Sergeant Dongmin stepped forward. What about my security guards? They will learn the most important lesson, Jae-hyun said. How to make the enemy afraid. Fear is the best weapon of all. The humans spent the next 90 seconds teaching each group basic tactics. He showed the miners how to hold their tools like weapons. He taught the engineers how to make simple traps from electrical cables. He explained to the power workers how to use darkness to confuse enemies, but most importantly, he taught them how to think like hunters instead of prey. Remember, he said, the Vorth are bigger and stronger than you, but they are also slower and more confident. They think they have already won. Use that against them. The footsteps above them stopped. The Vorth had reached level 9. They are coming, Sergeant Dongmin whispered. Good, Jae-hyun said. Yunesio, turn off the lights. Everyone else, get to your positions. The colony level went dark. In the darkness, the aliens could hear the Vorth soldiers talking to each other in their harsh language. Why are the lights off? One of them asked. Maybe the power is broken. Another replied. Or maybe something is waiting for us, a third voice said. This soldier sounded worried. Captain Jae-hyun smiled in the darkness. The Vorth were already starting to feel fear. That was exactly what he wanted, the first Vorth soldier. Stepped through the door to level 9. He had a bright light attached to his weapon, and he moved it back and forth looking for enemies. He saw empty hallways and quiet rooms. Everything looked normal. All clear, he called to his team. That was when Engineer Yunesio activated the first trap. The ceiling above the soldier opened, and a heavy piece of mining equipment fell down. The Vorth soldier was strong, but he was not expecting a 2-ton rock crusher to land on his head. He died instantly. Contact, another Vorth soldier shouted. We are under attack. But where was the attack coming from? The Vorth soldiers spun around looking for enemies. They saw nothing but empty corridors and silent rooms. Then the lights began to flicker. On and off like a heartbeat. The Vorth soldiers had never seen anything like it. On their homeworlds, lights either worked or they didn't. They had never seen lights used as a weapon. What is happening? One of them asked. I don't know, his commander replied. Keep moving. Find the enemy. The Vorth soldiers moved deeper into level 9. They were brave warriors, but they were also getting nervous. Something was very wrong here. This didn't feel like fighting miners and farmers. This felt like walking into a trap. They were right. The second trap was a simple one. Kethra miners had used their drilling equipment to weaken the floor. When the heavy Vorth soldiers walked over it, the metal gave way. 3 soldiers fell through the floor into the level below, where more miners were waiting with their tools. The screaming started again. "Fall back!" the Vorth commander shouted. "This is an ambush!" But there was nowhere to fall back to. Engineer Unesio had used her welding tools to seal the door they had come through. The Vorth soldiers were trapped in a maze of corridors and rooms, and every path led to another trap. The third trap was the most clever. The Nixani power workers had rigged the ventilation system to pump mining gases into the corridors. The gases were not deadly, but they made the Vorth soldiers dizzy and slow. Their thick armor, which usually protected them, now made it hard for them to move quickly. "I can't breathe properly," one soldier gasped. "My head is spinning," another said. "Where are the enemies?" a third asked. "I can't see anyone." That was the beauty of Captain J. Hyun's plan. The aliens didn't have to fight the Vorth soldiers face to face. They just had to make the environment fight for them. The fourth trap was psychological. Sergeant Dongmin and his security guards had learned to use the colony speaker system. They played recordings of the screams from the soldiers who had fallen through the floor. The sounds echoed through the corridors, making every Vorth soldier think enemies were everywhere. "How many are there?" one soldier asked. "I don't know," his commander replied. "But they are all around us." The Vorth soldiers had conquered 100 worlds, but they had never faced anything like this. They were used to fighting enemies who stood and fought. They were not used to fighting enemies who turned the very ground into a weapon. By the time the 20-minute battle was over, 40 Vorth soldiers were dead. The rest had retreated to level 8, carrying their wounded and looking over their shoulders in fear, and not one alien had died. Captain J. Hyun gathered his new army in the main hall. The 300 volunteers looked different now. They stood taller, moved with more confidence, and looked at their simple tools with new eyes. "You did well," he told them. "You learned the first lesson of human warfare. Use everything around you as a weapon." "What's the second lesson?" asked Engineer Unesio. "Make your enemy afraid," J. Hyun said. "Fear makes people stupid. Stupid people make mistakes, and mistakes get people killed." Pilot Yunji stepped forward. "Captain, I monitored the Vorth communications during the battle. They are calling for reinforcements." "How many?" J. Hyun asked. 500 more soldiers." The human smiled. "Good, we will need more practice." Commander Hyun Woo stared at him. "You want more enemies?" "I want more students," J. Hyun said. "Every Vorth soldier who fights us and survives will tell others about what happened here. They will spread stories about the colony where farmers and miners became killers. They will tell others about the place where darkness itself was a weapon." "And then what?" Sergeant Dongmin asked. "Then the Vorth will start to fear every mining colony, every farming world, every place where they think they can win an easy victory. They will start to wonder if there might be a human hiding in the shadows." The human looked at his army of civilians who had become fighters. The Vorth Empire thinks they are hunting sheep, but sheep that learn to fight become wolves, and wolves hunt in packs. Above them, they could hear the sound of more Vorth ships landing. The real battle was about to begin, but for the first time in 3 years, the aliens were not afraid. They were hungry. The sound of 500 Vorth soldiers landing on the colony surface shook the ground like an earthquake. General Kaijun himself had come with the reinforcements. He was the most feared Vorth commander in the galaxy, a warrior who had never lost a battle. Captain J. Hyun stood in the colony's main control room, watching the enemy ships through the cameras. Behind him, his army of 300 aliens waited for orders. They looked different now. In just a few hours, farmers had become fighters, miners had become warriors, and engineers had become tacticians. "General Kaijun," Commander Hyun Woo said, reading the enemy ship identification. "He destroyed the Kepler-7 colonies, killed 2 million people." "Not today," J. Hyun said quietly. "Today, he learns what happens when you corner humans." Pilot Yunji was monitoring the Vorth communications. "Captain, they are talking about you." General Kaijun says humans are just animals that learn to use tools. Jae-hyun smiled, but it was a sad smile this time. He is not wrong, but he doesn't understand what that means. The human turned to face his alien army. For the first time since he arrived, they could see something different in his eyes. Not just the cold calculation of a soldier, but something deeper. Something that made him human. Before we fight the next battle, he said, you need to understand something about my people. You think we are monsters because we are good at killing, but that is only half the truth. Dr. Ji-hoon, a young Veltari scientist, stepped forward. What is the other half? We are also good at protecting, Jae-hyun said. Humans don't fight because we love war. We fight because we love what we are protecting. He pulled out a small device from his pocket. It showed a picture of a young human girl with long black hair and bright eyes. This is my daughter, Minyoung. She is 7 years old. She likes to draw pictures of flowers and ask questions about the stars. The aliens stared at the picture. They had never thought about humans having families, having children who drew pictures, and asked questions. When your Dr. Somin summoned me, Jae-hyun continued, I was reading Minyoung a bedtime story. It was about a brave princess who saved her kingdom from a dragon. Minyoung asked me if real princesses could be that brave. What did you tell her? Engineer Yoon Seo asked. I told her that everyone can be that brave when they are protecting someone they love, Jae-hyun said. Then your summons came and I had to leave her to come help you. The human put the picture away and looked at each of his alien soldiers. You want to know why humans are dangerous? It is not because we are evil. It is because we will do anything to protect the people we care about. And right now, I care about you? Sergeant Dongmin felt something strange in his chest. It was an emotion he had never felt before, the feeling that someone would fight for him, even die for him, just because it was the right thing to do. The galaxy is afraid of humans, Jae-hyun said, because we don't fight for conquest or glory or power. We fight for love, and love makes us stronger than any weapon. The Vorth were moving into the colony now. General Kaijun had split his forces into 10 groups of 50 soldiers each. They were being more careful this time, using scanners and heavy armor. Captain, Young-ji called out, they have some kind of new equipment. It looks like they can see through walls. Good, Jae-hyun said. Let them see us coming. The aliens looked confused. But if they can see us, we lose the advantage of surprise. No, Jae-hyun said. Now we have something better. We have the advantage of choice, he explained his new plan. Instead of hiding and using traps, they would fight the Vorth directly. But they would fight them as humans fight, not as individuals, but as a family protecting their home. Each group of Vorth soldiers has 50 warriors, he said, but they fight as 50 individuals. We will fight as one mind with 300 badas. That is how humans win against bigger, stronger enemies. The first battle happened on level 6. 50 Vorth soldiers entered the mining complex, expecting to find scared aliens hiding in corners. Instead, they found engineer Yoon Seo and 30 Veltari miners waiting for them, but these miners had learned human tactics. They didn't fight like crystal beings trying to protect themselves. They fought like humans protecting their family. When the Vorth soldiers fired their weapons, the miners used their tools to create shields and cover for each other. When the Vorth advanced, the miners fell back together, supporting each other, making sure no one was left behind. And when the Vorth thought they were winning, Captain Jae-hyun appeared from above, dropping from the ceiling like a shadow. But he didn't fight alone. He fought alongside his alien friends, protecting them while they protected each other. The battle lasted 15 minutes. When it was over, all 50 Vorth soldiers were dead, and only 3 aliens were injured. More importantly, the aliens had learned something new about themselves. They had learned they could be brave. The second battle was on level 8. This time, it was Sergeant Dongmin leading 40 Nixani security guards against another group of Vorth. The Nixani had always been peaceful, gentle beings who avoided conflict, but Captain Jae-hyun had taught them that being peaceful didn't mean being weak. It meant choosing when to fight, and fighting only for the right reasons. The Nixani used their ability to float through the air to attack from unexpected angles. They used their knowledge of the colony's layout to lead the Vorth into carefully planned ambush. And when the fighting got hard, they remembered what the human had told them about love making people strong. They fought not just for themselves, but for the Kethra children hiding in the lower levels. They fought for the Veltari elders who had built this colony with their own hands. They fought for the future they wanted to build together. The Vorth soldiers couldn't understand what was happening. These aliens were supposed to be easy targets. Instead, they fought with a fury and determination that the Vorth had never seen before. "Fall back!" the Vorth commander shouted. "These are not normal aliens. What do you mean?" his lieutenant asked. "They fight like humans," the commander said, and his voice was full of fear. The third battle was the strangest of all. It happened when a group of Vorth soldiers cornered 20 Kethra civilians in the colony school. These were not fighters. They were teachers and children and parents, but Captain J. Hyan had taught them that everyone could protect what they loved. The Kethra used their 6 arms to create a wall between the Vorth and the youngest children. They used their insect-like bodies to form a protective shell around the weak and scared. And when the Vorth soldiers raised their weapons, something amazing happened. The Kethra began to sing. It was an old song from their home world, a lullaby that mothers sang to calm frightened children. But as they sang, something changed in the air. The song gave them courage, made them feel connected, reminded them that they were not alone. The Vorth soldiers had never heard anything like it. They had conquered worlds and destroyed armies, but they had never fought people who sang while protecting their children. Captain J. Hyan arrived just as the Vorth were hesitating, confused by the singing. He didn't need to fire a shot. The sight of a human appearing behind singing aliens was too much for the Vorth soldiers. They ran. As the day went on, more battles were fought and won. Each time, the aliens fought a little more like humans. Not because they became violent, but because they learned to fight with love instead of fear. Dr. Ji-hoon had been watching everything from the medical center. As a scientist, he was fascinated by what he was seeing. The aliens weren't just learning human tactics, they were learning human emotions. "Captain," he said when Jae-hyun came to check on the wounded, "I think I understand now why the galaxy fears your people." "Why?" Jae-hyun asked. "Because you don't just kill your enemies," Ji-hoon said. "You make everyone around you stronger, you turn prey animals into predators, you turn individuals into families. You change the very nature of the people you touch." Jae-hyun nodded. "That is why Earth was quarantined. Not because humans are evil, but because we are contagious. Our way of thinking spreads to others. Our willingness to fight for love instead of fear becomes their willingness too. And that scares other species? It terrifies them," Jae-hyun said. "Because once beings learn to fight like humans, they can never go back to being prey. They become something new, something dangerous, something that refuses to give up." Through the medical center windows, they could see the last of the Vorth forces retreating to their ships. General Kaijun had lost 700 soldiers and gained nothing, but more importantly, 300 aliens had learned what it meant to be human, and they would never forget. General Kaijun stood on the bridge of his command ship, staring down at the mining colony that had cost him 700 soldiers. His 6 legs trembled with rage and something he had never felt before: fear. In 40 years of conquest, he had never lost a battle. Today, miners and farmers had made him retreat. "Sir," his communications officer said, "the survivors are reporting impossible things. They say the aliens fought like humans." "That's because there is a human down there," Kaijun said through gritted teeth. "One single human has turned sheep into wolves." "What are your orders, sir?" Kaijun looked at his remaining forces. He had started with 2,000 soldiers. Now he had less than 1,300. If he attacked the colony again, he might lose even more. But if he retreated without winning, his reputation would be destroyed. "Prepare the orbital bombardment cannons," he said. "If we cannot take the colony, we will destroy it from space." Down in the colony, Captain Jae-hyun was standing in the central spire with his alien army. Through the wide windows, they could see the Vorth ships in orbit, their weapons charging with deadly light. "They are going to destroy us from space," Commander Hyun-woo said. "All our fighting was for nothing." "No," Jae-hyun said calmly. "This is exactly what I expected. General Kaijun is doing what humans call flipping the board. When you cannot win the game, you destroy the game." "Then how do we stop him?" Pilot Yoonji asked. "We don't stop him," Jae-hyun said. "We give him something more important to worry about." The human walked to the colony's main communications array. His fingers moved over the controls like he had used them his whole life. "I am sending a message to every ship in the Vorth Fleet." "What kind of message?" Dr. Jihoon asked. "The truth," Jae-hyun said. He activated the communication system. His voice was broadcast to every Vorth ship in the fleet, from the smallest fighter to General Kaichun's massive command vessel. "This is Captain Jae-hyun of the Human Defense Force," he said. "I am speaking to the soldiers of the Vorth Empire. You came here to conquer a mining colony. Instead, you found something that terrifies your generals. On the Vorth ships, soldiers stopped what they were doing to listen. They had all heard the stories about what happened on the colony surface. Many of them had friends who died fighting farmers and miners. You are wondering how weak aliens became so strong," Jae-hyun continued. "The answer is simple. They learned to fight like humans. They learned to protect what they love instead of just trying to survive." General Kaijun tried to cut off the transmission, but the human had somehow locked it open. Every soldier in the fleet could hear every word. "Your general wants to destroy this colony from orbit because he is afraid," Jae-hyun said. "He is afraid that word will spread about what happened here. He is afraid that other species will learn what these aliens learned." On the ships, Vorth soldiers looked at each other with confusion. Their general afraid? The great Kaijun who had conquered 100 worlds? "But General Kaichun's fear is not about losing one battle," Jae-hyun said. "His fear is about losing the war. Because if farmers and miners can fight like humans, what happens when real soldiers learn to fight like humans? What happens when entire planets learn to protect what they love?" The human paused, letting his words sink in. "I will make you a deal, soldiers of the Vorth Empire. Leave this colony in peace and I will come with you. One human for the lives of 50,000 aliens. General Kaijun gets to capture the prize he really wants and these people get to live." In the colony, the aliens stared at Jae-hyun in shock. "You can't do that," Engineer Yunesio said. "They will torture you. They will study you like a laboratory animal." "Maybe," Jae-hyun said. "But they will also learn something important about humans. They will learn that we keep our promises." Commander Hyun-woo felt something break inside his crystal heart. This human had saved them all, and now he was offering to sacrifice himself for them. There has to be another way. "There is always another way," Jae-hyun said. "But this is the best way. This way you live. This way the children grow up. This way the galaxy learns that humans protect the innocent." General Kaichun's voice crackled over the communication system. "Human, you think I am fool enough to believe your offer? I think you are smart enough to want the greatest prize in the galaxy," Jae-hyun replied. "A living human. Think about what your empire could learn from studying me. Think about what weapons you could make from human technology." There was a long silence. Then Kaijun spoke again. "You will surrender yourself completely? No tricks? No escape attempts?" "I give you my word as a human," Jae-hyun said. "And humans always keep their word." Sergeant Dongmin stepped forward. "Captain, we won't let you do this. We will fight them. All of us together." Jae-hyun smiled at the brave Nixani warrior. "You have already fought them, my friend. You won. Look around you." The aliens looked at each other and saw what the human meant. They were not the same beings who had cowered in fear just hours ago. They stood tall, they looked confident, and they moved like people who knew how to protect themselves and others. "You are not farmers and miners anymore," Jae-hyun said. "You are guardians, you are protectors. You are what your people will become when they learn that love is stronger than fear." A small transport ship descended from the Vorth fleet. "General." Kaijun himself stepped out, flanked by 20 heavily armed soldiers. He was massive, even by Vorth standards, with scars covering his armored body. "So," he said, looking at Jaehyun, "you are the creature that turned my conquest into a nightmare." "I am just a teacher," Jaehyun said. "These people taught themselves to be brave." Kaijun walked closer, studying the human like a scientist, examining a dangerous specimen. "You are smaller than I expected. Weaker looking. How did you kill so many of my soldiers?" "I didn't kill them," Jaehyun said. "Their own fear killed them. Fear makes people stupid. Stupid people make mistakes. And mistakes are deadly," the general gestured to his soldiers. They moved forward with energy restraints designed to hold the strongest prisoners. But before they could reach him, Jaehyun held up his hand. "Before I go," he said, "I have something to tell your soldiers. Something that will save many lives in the future." "Speak," Kaijun said. Jaehyun turned to address the Vorth soldiers. "You have spent today fighting humans for the first time. You have learned that we are dangerous. But you have only seen one human alone, far from home. Imagine what happens when you meet 1,000 humans fighting together. Imagine what happens when you face human ships, human weapons, human armies." The Vorth soldiers shifted nervously. They had all heard the stories about human technology, about weapons that could destroy stars and ships that could travel faster than light. "But here is the secret that your general doesn't want you to know," Jaehyun said. "Humans are not your enemies. We could be your allies. We could teach you to fight like us, to protect what you love, to be strong without being cruel." "Enough," General Kaijun said. "Take him." As the energy restraints closed around him, Jaehyun looked one last time at his alien friends. "Remember what you learned today. Remember that you are stronger than you know. And remember that somewhere in the galaxy, humans are watching and waiting. Waiting for what?" Commander Hyun-woo asked. "For the day when the galaxy is ready for us to come home," Jaehyun said. The transport ship lifted off, carrying the human away. But as it rose into the sky, something unexpected happened. Pilot Yoonji activated the colony's communication system and began to broadcast a message to every ship, every station, every world within range. "This is the free colony of Kepler 442b," she said. "Today we fought the Vorth Empire and won. We fought with human tactics, human courage, and human love. If you want to learn how to protect your families, how to turn farmers into fighters, how to be strong without being cruel, send us your teachers. We will teach them what the human taught us." Within hours, the message had spread across a dozen star systems. Within days, it had reached hundreds of worlds. And within weeks, ships began arriving at the colony, not to conquer, but to learn. Dr. Ji-hoon established the first Academy of Human Tactics. Engineer Yoon designed new defenses based on human principles. Sergeant Dongmin trained teachers who would spread to other worlds, and in the center of the colony, they built a monument to Dr. Somin and Captain Jae-hyun, the alien who sacrificed her life to call for help, and the human who sacrificed his freedom to give it. The inscription read, "Here we learn that love is stronger than fear, that protection is stronger than conquest, and that one human can change the galaxy forever." General Kaijun had won his prize. He had captured a human, but Captain Jae-hyun had won something greater. He had planted a seed that would grow into a forest of worlds that knew how to fight like humans, think like humans, and love like humans. The galaxy would never be the same. And in the depths of space, on the quarantined world called Earth, humanity felt the change beginning. The first ripples of a wave that would eventually bring them home. The age of human isolation was ending. The age of human teachers had begun.